On December 18th, 2018, Canada's new impaired driving laws came into effect, not only increasing mandatory minimum sentences and penalties, but also giving police increased powers to demand a breath sample without reasonable suspicion of impairment, being touted as some of the world's toughest impaired driving laws. Today, we're speaking with Vancouver defense attorney Kyla Lee to discuss these new laws and how they're impacting Canadian drivers. Firstly, what significant changes took place with impaired driving laws in Canada to make them what they are right now?
The first is that the police now have the power to stop people and demand at random a sample of breath into a roadside breathalyzer, whereas before the police were required to have a reasonable suspicion that a person had alcohol in their body before they could ask them to provide that sample. So it's a big erosion of charter rights, in my opinion, and something that the courts are ultimately going to have to test. The second major change is that now it is a criminal offense to consume alcohol at or above 80 milligrams of alcohol in 100 milliliters of blood within 2 hours after having ceased operating or had care and control of a motor vehicle. And the only defense to that is that you didn't believe that you were going to be asked to provide a sample into a breathalyzer, that the alcohol was consumed after you stopped driving but before you were breathalyzed, and that the amount that you consumed was consistent with the readings that were ultimately obtained on the breathalyzer. And then the third significant change is that in circumstances where the police don't get breath samples within the allotted time frame after you've stopped driving, they can now rely on the results that were obtained hours and hours later. So they can take your breath sample results 6 hours after you were driving, and then they can just add 10 milligrams of alcohol for every hour that passed and say the number that they come up with is the number that you were at when you were driving.
It's a bit ridiculous. I mean, to have like really no grounds to demand something from someone, I don't get it. I mean, they're gonna come to my house after I've been home for 2 hours. Who's to say I didn't get home and have a couple of drinks while I was at home?
The random breath testing is the one that we've seen the most enforcement of so far. It's circumstances where police are stopping vehicles for no reason whatsoever, not even articulating that they're stopping to conduct a sobriety check or to ensure that the driver has a license, just completely randomly stopping people and demanding that they provide a sample of breath.
They're gonna have a lot of hits and they're gonna have a lot of misses. And I think that some people are gonna pay the price for other people's shortcomings. I think that the people that they need to be looking out for are probably repeat offenders, and maybe they need to be knocking down those doors a little bit more.
The vast majority of police officers out there, in my experience, are genuinely trying to do their jobs free from bias. The problem is that that doesn't always go as planned, and I've dealt with some of the nicest, kindest police officers who've screwed things up so royally because they made a mistake.
Well, as long as they think it's justified, sure. I hit a parked car. I was that drunk, and there was no breathalyzer or anything. So, you know, if you commit the crime, you got to do the time.
If you're concerned about the law, you should contact your member of parliament, because government is always examining laws and rewriting laws. We have a new federal minister of justice. There may be an opportunity to revisit this sooner if there's enough public outcry, but it's going to require the public coming together and pressuring government to change this. Otherwise, we're left in the hands of the courts.
You can check out Kyla's website at kylalee.ca, where you'll find Kyla's comprehensive blog and videos discussing impaired driving law and other matters of law. Thank you so much for watching, and please never drive impaired. My name is Kinga, and this is City Lights on Novus TV.